In this episode of Introducing LittleWarGame, we're going to talk about all the buildings inside of LittleWarGame, their current tech paths, requirements, and what they are allowed and enable in terms of units, upgrades, and perhaps even other structures that can be built once they have been built. There's no better place to start than the castle. At present, when you start the game, you start with a castle and a certain number of workers. This is important as the castle allows you to have a point for which workers can go back to with mined gold. It also allows you to research or build 2 units, the worker and the bird, and it has 2 points of research: upgrade to a fortress, which enables additional tech, or the ability to grant invisibility detection to birds. Moving on after that, we have the barracks. This building requires a house to be built, but is the fundamental place to build the current barracks, or racks as you may hear them commonly said or referred to, units. This includes soldier, archer, raider, and at present the mage. Moving on, we have the watchtower. The watchtower is a basic defensive structure that can be built for relatively low cost. It has higher range than the archer, and it fires at a decent clip, but it can't be used as the only source of base defense. Nevertheless, many people try. If you're in a pinch, build a watchtower. But if your watchtower can't get you out of the pinch of invisible units, you can upgrade it to this, a watchtower with detection. It's worth noting that this watchtower can upgrade, by researching detection, to become this tower, the watchtower with, as it says here, detection. Moving on after that, we have the house. The house and the castle share the property of it giving 10 extra maximum supply up to the current in-game maximum of 150 supply for the player who built it. If you're running out of supply, you may need to build a house. Houses are also fairly dense relative to the number of hit points that they possess and the amount of time that they take to build in addition to their cost. So if you want to make an impromptu wall, it's going to be really hard to do a lot better than the house. Moving on, we have a building that you won't be able to build that is nevertheless integral to the playing of the game. This is the gold mine. The gold mine is the point at which workers will attack to then mine gold and bring it back to a castle or a fortress. So if you wonder where you can expand, find the nearest gold mine, bam, you have a place to expand. Moving on after that, we have the Mages Guild. The Mages Guild is an interesting building in that it allows for the creation of mages from the barracks, and it has 1 research point, Fireball. Now, at present, no units are built from the Mages Guild itself, but it is a tech requirement, and in order to unlock this tech requirement, you currently need a barracks. Moving on, we have a workshop. This is the starting building for all of the mech units in the game, or the mech faction indeed, and it allows you to produce 2 units, the catapult and the Gatling gun. It additionally holds an upgrade called Respoked Wheel that can be given to Gatling guns, which increases the speed at which they move. This is a building that is a prerequisite for this building is prerequisite for building the mill, which is further down here, but we'll get to that in a second. Next, we have the Forge. The Forge is a place to upgrade the abilities in terms of the attack and defense of barracks units and mechanical units. So it has 4 upgrades here. It has the attack upgrade, armor upgrade, mech attack upgrade, and mech armor upgrade. And again, these affect the racks and mech units, respectively, up to a maximum of 5 upgrades for each particular portion of the upgrade. So you can get up to mech attack +5, you can research mech defense 5 times, and ditto for just attack and armor upgrades. Moving on from there, we have the fortress. The fortress is a building that is built using one of the abilities located in the castle. If you don't believe me, click on the castle, look at the bottom left section of this command card where it says upgrade the fortress. The fortress is required to make the next building that we're going to talk about, but fundamentally it doesn't share too many distinctions or differences from the baseline castle. It does have additional armor and hit points, so I guess if you're really worried about your units dying, then there's always this, but it doesn't add any new abilities in terms of what it itself can do in the command card. It can still only trade a worker or a bird, and it allows you to research bird detection if you have not done so already. However, the most common reason to see a fortress is that people are getting this unit, the Dragon Slayer. The Dragon Slayer allows one to make dragons. It doesn't have any other research or upgrades or facilities that are associated with it, but considering that dragons are very big, flying, tanky beast units, you may find yourself getting a fortress quite frequently. At present, the Dragon Slayer doesn't allow anything else to be unlocked, and it is relatively easy to snipe as a tech unit, including the fact that it costs so much, so be sure to keep it protected. To its right is a far more simple building for the Beast faction. It's the Wolf's Den. The Wolf's Den allows you to create 2 units out of it and to upgrade to the Werewolf's Den. The 2 units it allows you to make are the Wolf and the Snake, and you need a house before you can build the Wolf's Den. Going over to the right, we have the werewolf's den. The werewolf's den requires that you have a fortress before it can be upgraded. And you may notice that it loses the ability to upgrade further, but maintains the ability to build a wolf and a snake. However, it additionally has now the capacity to build a werewolf. Werewolves, as we went over in the units video, are somewhat decent speed and highly tanky units that hit like a Mack truck. So if you want one of those units, you're going to have to go and build a werewolf's den. Moving over to the right, we have the beast counterpart for the Rax and Mech upgrades that are done in the Forge. This is the Animal Testing Lab. The Animal Testing Lab allows for beast attack upgrades and beast defense upgrades up to level 5 in both cases. So you can get up to +5 beast attack or +5 beast defense using the Animal Testing Lab. Moving over, we have the Advanced Workshop. The Advanced Workshop, as its name might imply, is an advanced workshop. That doesn't mean that it requires the workshop. In fact, it doesn't actually do that. The Advanced Workshop is a structure that allows you to research 2 upgrades: the Airship Telescope Extension, which gives invisibility detection to your airships, and the Ballista Black Powder upgrade, which gives your ballista by default a small amount of area of effect and allows them to use the Explosive Shot ability. Meanwhile, the Advanced Workshop also has the ability to construct an airship or to construct a ballista, the airship being a transport unit and the ballista, of course, being an anti-air unit. Moving over from there, we have the Church. The Church is the building that allows you to research priests and train priests. Priests are a kind of a weaker form of an archer that at present casts Healing Word by default. However, the Church also has one upgrade, and that allows you to research invisibility. Invisibility allows the priest to make a unit invisible for a period of about 60 seconds. So if you want some means of beating your opponents with units they can't even see, then there you go. We have invisibility on the priest. Moving on from there, we have the Mill. Now, the Mill is an interesting building in that it requires a workshop before it can be built, and it only has one unit that it can actually produce, the Gyrocraft. However, the Gyrocraft is a fast, repairable flying mech unit with a gaggle of which can easily 1 or 2 shot some workers and worker lines, and so it's well worth making this building to make this unit. Moving on from there, we have the Snake Charmer. You may have noticed earlier when we were talking about the Wolf's Den and the Werewolf's Den that you can build a wolf, a snake, or, in the case of a Werewolf's Den, a werewolf. However, when you look at the Snake Charmer, you will realize that you actually need the Snake Charmer as a building prerequisite in order to build the snakes that are located in the aforementioned buildings. So, if you find yourself not satisfied with merely having wolves, you can satisfy your greed even further by having the zippy ranged units that are snakes simply by building a Snake Charmer. And the final building we want to go over is the Armory. The Armory holds upgrades that are available for Rax units, but in particular for the Raider and for the Archer. At present, it currently contains the ability Shroud. This allows a Raider to cast Shroud once it has been researched. Shroud, of course, being an ability that allows the range of all units that are affected and underneath Shroud to shrink to melee, and if they don't have a melee attack, they are unable to attack. Meanwhile, we also look at the range upgrade. This range upgrade is a one-time use upgrade that allows you to increase the range of your archers by 1. Again, if you're not satisfied with how far your archers can reach, or you're really annoyed by a gaggle of towers, you can go ahead and overcome both difficulties by getting the Armory. Finally, it's worth talking about that the Armory in the bottom right-hand corner also requires us to build a barracks before it itself can be constructed. And so with that, there we have it. Those are all the buildings inside of LittleWarGame, a brief overview over what their capabilities are, and what the tech tree is that involves them.